Today's topic, what happens when paranoid ideation meets gaslighting and mansplaining? Now, it's not what you think it's going to be, but it could be interesting. This came about because of several discussions that I've had over the last month, and there's a topic that keeps coming up. One of the things is sometimes I will have someone who will get very frustrated at their partner, their boyfriend, even me as a therapist. And I will see it come out in the form of being felt like that they're being talked down to, that someone's mansplaining. Okay. And also gaslighting. And when I say mansplaining, if you look it up, I actually had to have the fun and go looking up to see exactly the way it was said. The definition that they got online, Oxford, is the explanation of something by a man, typically, to a woman, typically, in a manner regarded as condescending or patronizing. Now, here's the thing. Some of the individuals I've talked to, everything that comes out of their partner's mouth is mansplaining. Even if the person, and this is where the interesting thing comes in, if you have a conversation, you find out that their partner is extroverted. What difference does it make? Well, here we go. Let's get into some details. If you are an extrovert, or sometimes if you're just somebody who has to let things out of your head and into the air in order to think about it. Like, let's say I'm thinking about, building a cabinet or doing some task or going to the grocery store, and I will sit there, and before I go, I'll be like, okay, so I was thinking about going to the grocery store, and I was thinking about, getting eggs. Or if you were to ask me and say, I'm going to the grocery store, and I start going, oh, the thoughts in my head, I pull out and I go, oh, well, we need eggs and milk and butter and, and bread and whatever it is we may need. We need turnip greens. I don't know. Pick something. Suddenly, an individual will feel, you're mansplaining. You're talking down to me. What? A lot of times, if you have had a history, and this is where it really gets complex, if you've had a history of someone actually doing that to you, or perceiving people doing that to you, then you will feel that everything that person says is mansplaining. Even if they're just sitting there talking, oh, today's a beautiful day, the sun was really out. You can take that as condescending and talking down to you if that's the way you feel. If you're coming from a place that is not so great, anything that person says might be taken as mansplaining. Let me jump one further. Somebody disagrees with you. Now, you may be adamant in what you believe, and the person just simply disagrees. Again, every time somebody disagrees with you, it's not gaslighting. See, again, I have to go back, pop the definition of gaslighting, a form of psychological manipulation in which the abuser attempts to sow self-doubt and confusion in their victim's mind. Typically, they are seeking to gain power and control over the other person by distorting reality and forcing them to question their own judgment and intuition. Now, every time somebody disagrees with you and it forces you to question how you think things are, that does not mean you're being gaslit. If the person is doing it for the purpose, they want to make you feel unsound, unsure, they are manipulating you, that's different. You may get up and say, you mop the floor. The other person may disagree with you and said, well, don't look mopped. Now, whether that's true or not, it becomes a debate about whether or not what went on and all. But the thing is it's not automatically gaslighting. Now, the question would become, why would someone feel that mostly everything said to them is mansplaining or gaslighting? It could be that they've had that happen to them in the past. Highly possible. It could be that they were manipulated, so they have a trauma reaction. Understandable. It could also be, though, that the person has a level of paranoid ideation. In other words, if an individual is having a hard time reading other people, another person's simple conversation could be perceived as menacing, mean, pointed at them, talking down to them. If you're coming from a particular bad place during the day, things have happened to you and you feel down, and somebody says something, they disagree with you, or they're talking to you, you can feel they're talking down to you even when they're not. Now, where it becomes so clear to me is when I was having a conversation with somebody and they were telling me that their partner is we have conversations and they start talking about their work and stuff like that, and they start mansplaining to me. And then later on, they disagreed with me and I didn't like that, and they're gaslighting me. And it never becomes so self-evident that there's a problem here when I ask the person, what's the difference between normal conversation and mansplaining? And what is the difference between a normal disagreement and gaslighting? And if you can't tell the difference, that may be an indication that you're taking things a little too far, a little too wrong, a little bit too past the edge. Maybe the person really isn't trying to do that to you. Now it gets really complicated, because if you scream at the person and tell them, they're doing that to you, it is possible that the other person will start to feel that, well, maybe I am gaslighting you. Maybe I am mansplaining. Maybe I'm the bad person. Because if the other person doesn't have a strong will, or if they are the kind of person who just wants to keep the peace, then you telling them they're a bad person, they begin to believe it. And in this situation, the person who feels they're being abused becomes the abuser, and the other person becomes abused. And that's a complicated situation. It's actually quite sad. It means that there is a total breakdown in communication, and that for survival's sake, one or more people in the couple, they're distorting things to preserve themselves or defend themselves, or they feel that this is happening to them. And I'm not saying that it never happens, and I'm not saying the person never does that. It's just sometimes difficult to believe that everything that comes out of a person's mouth is condescending, especially when you're talking about someone who's one of those people who just, whatever's in their head, they're talking, they're going through. That's how they process their stuff. Some people are internal processors, and some people are external processors. And this is all about learning the intricacies of both your introversion, your extroversion, your communication skills, your conversational skills, what's going on. And that's that higher order of thinking and understanding what's going on. And my next video is going to be just about that, individuals that their partner perceives them as being narcissistic when maybe there's something else going on. So I invite you to tune into that one. And if you have a question, if you're adamantly sure that you're being gaslit and that you're being mansplained and you're being talked down condescendingly, I'm not saying that you're wrong. You might well be. Sometimes you definitely are. What I would invite you to do, though, is pull back and have someone else that you trust, a third party, go through things with you. Not a yes person, not someone who's going to kiss your butt and agree to whatever you tell them. Because a lot of times we go to people who are just going to tell us what we want to hear. I would like you to think about finding somebody in your friend group or family group or some group that cares about you and also can be neutral and fair and tell you things you don't want to hear. Because that gives you another perspective on it. Okay? like I said, it hit home with me when the person honestly could not tell me, and they were upset because then it made them think, how many times had they been with their partner and screamed at them and accused them of gaslighting when the person just disagrees with them? Or how many times they gotten angry and said, you're mansplaining, and stop that, when the person was just talking out loud. Okay. This is one of the cases where intent means a lot. The person may not be trying to manipulate you, they just may disagree with you. Now, in a relationship, you should be able to disagree with your partner. It doesn't mean anything good or bad. It's how you handle the disagreement. That's the crux of it. Okay. So you take care, and I'll see you in the next video.